Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MTDCNC Uncut, probably one of my favourite podcasts and get-togethers. It's a great time because as a team, we all get together in the studio, and at the moment you've probably seen and heard that, you know, we're always here and there and everywhere, but it's great just to get together in the studio and have a catch-up about what we've been up to. Isn't it, team?
It is.
Yeah.
Always good, especially off the back of a nice sunny weekend as well, which was the first this year so far.
Oh, yes, it was. It has been nice, hasn't it?
It's been nice, isn't it? And off to the Cheltenham races tomorrow. I know Chloe's going as well.
Not together.
Not together.
I know today that we are going to be there. From what I remember, I don't think it will be much. But
Well, I went last year and the weather was cool and wet, and then this weekend I was like, oh, the sun's out, and I thought, oh, it's going to be nice at Cheltenham. It looks like it's going to be 8 degrees as well and a bit overcast.
Feels like 2. That's what it will be.
We did our wet and forget on our patio. Does anyone else do that?
Eh?
No, everyone's looking at me like foreign.
Is it like a clean job?
Yeah, so instead of actually power jetting the patio, you just spray it on and then the sun takes all the moss away. So it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. So you need to have, I can't believe we started the podcast off talking like this. But good old wet and forget. Yeah, exactly.
I was about to say lawnmowers were
Yeah.
My hay fever was...
Wet and forget, mow the lawn.
It's that time of year when it feels like months and months since you've had warmth on your face, and you just put your face in it, and it's like, oh, this is...
Speak for yourself, Paul. I went to Bangkok recently.
Sorry.
So we got snow.
Yeah, so we appreciated it a bit more than you.
Yeah, no, 37 degrees down to about, what is it, 15?
Yeah, literally.
I've never done a job.
Is that what it was, 37?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, but that was...
humidity, though.
No, it was all right,
all
but I
right?
think I like the heat.
Yes,
I know you
same.
like the heat, Paul, as well, don't you?
Yeah.
But I've never done a job for MTD where we went into the painting area, and after we did a piece to camera in where they're doing the painting, it's like a wall in between, where you had to kind of shut the doors and close it all off because of fumes and stuff. I had a top on, and I got my top and I wrung it out afterwards, the sweat. But I love that because I like the heat.
Yeah.
I could live in a sauna.
It's like when you walk off the plane, isn't it? You go on holiday and it hits you and you go, oh gosh, this is just so nice. Tell us about that trip then. Start there.
Oh,
don't. Where did you go?
Am I allowed to say what happens in Bangkok stays in Bangkok? Is that fair?
Tell us.
Yeah. Well, they did film The Hangover there. They did film The Hangover. Yeah. So if anyone doesn't know, gosh, it was all over social media, but we went to Sodic's facility in Thailand. They've got 2 facilities. It's on one kind of campus. But yes, we went out there and we filmed some content for corporate videos for them out there. And then we did some pieces for Sodic Europe. They had a few of their customers go out there, a lot of their dealers out there, and then we went out to film. And honestly, for me, to go to a facility... So, you know, when you see a machine and you see it in its all pristine final condition, shall we say, but for me to see that they make nearly every, bar the PCBs, to see that they make nearly every single component under those 2 roofs is unbelievable. I mean, the fabrication department was huge. You have these 2 rows, and what I couldn't get over is, you know how we often see components, but the same components coming off? It wasn't like that. The fabrication department was like this huge piece of sheet metal, you know, on the press tools and everything, and then it goes round, and then they're welding. But then next to it, they're making really, really small components and different shapes, different sizes. And it really showed how under those 2 roofs, it's almost, bar the PCBs, because there's a lot of different components in circuit boards, how much goes on, how much intelligence is over those 2 roofs. And you get
just the EDM machines.
It was the wires. Yes, there was some injection. Yeah, there was the injection molding machines, but it was. I saw the assembly of those, but it was more the wire, the die sinking machines, and also.
And there's a lot of commonality in the parts, so that they can make them in multiples because it will fit different machines and stuff like that.
Yes, of course, but it's a case of they are done to order, so you can see that it's like when you go along the line. You can see Europe, USA, and where it's all going.
What's the volume of kit going through there?
Oh my goodness, you've asked me a question now. What I will say is I think it's 49% go out to Europe and the USA from that facility.
Really?
Only 5% go to Thailand.
Okay.
So, I mean,
Export.
Yeah, that's mad, isn't
Yeah.
it? Oh, Peter did tell me. Now you've asked me the questions, but I think it's about 150 to 200 a month they can do from there.
Wow, it's a
Oh
lot
my
of kit.
gosh, non-stop.
Yeah.
And like you said, a lot of intelligent people.
Okay.
roof.
This was another thing as well. Is the biggest difference that we asked for the European dealers, and we all noticed it, is. So there's a lot of Thai workers there, right? And we would go over and we'd be filming, and I'm always try to be as polite as I can, say, is it okay to film? And they don't barely acknowledge, they're like, and they are so focused, they barely lift their heads, they barely lift their eyes away from the work that they're doing, whether it's the hand scraping, whether it's making the magnets for the linear motors. Honestly.
It's discipline, that.
Oh,
100%.
Chloe, on another scale, not a mobile phone in sight. So everybody.
Could we learn something, do you think?
Oh,
I think so.
like, yeah, massively. And it is just that sheer concentration levels. And in Thai culture, obviously, any time we open a door, so we came back after an evening, and they open the doors and they'll say like, Swadika, I hope I've said that in respect, you know, and the pleases, the thank yous, the welcomes, they notice everyone and they acknowledge one another. We just walk through doors. There is so much
on your phone.
On your phone.
A different kind
There's
of...
a respect for one another and people, and it is people give each other time, and I think that's what we don't do nowadays. We don't give one another time. I mean, I could go on and on for this, but about this for ages. But there is such a discipline and a way of working that we can learn so much from. But my goodness me, to see, and it was immaculate, nothing out of place.
Beautiful.
It was wonderful.
How many days were you there?
Altogether, about 9. Altogether, that's a long time being away from the family. But we went to some amazing places and we grafted. We were up early. We were on the buses in the morning. An hour there, travelling. Yes, it was about an hour. Loads of traffic in Bangkok. My goodness me, you'd get there and then you'd see the hotel, but you'd be in the traffic for about 20 minutes just to get back to it. But we were on one of the busiest.
It's very unruly, isn't it? You know, it's just like there's no. You just go where you want on the roads. I mean, you're all going in the same direction.
Yeah. And we
You're
went
either
on
going
tuk-tuks.
that way or this
wow.
way,
Yeah.
but whether you're going left, right, cutting someone up, getting cut up.
Who don't
It's
care
just
as long
No.
as you get there?
I've been to India. I've been to Jaipur, and that is scary driving wise. But out there, I feel like they've got it a little bit more together than out there. I felt quite safe.
You need to be aggressive. You need to if you're not aggressive with your driving,
You'll get
you
pushed
won't
over.
get anywhere. You'd have a.
We'd be all right.
You'd have an accident if you're not aggressive with your driving. You'd have an accident. Whereas if you're a little bit more right, you know.
I'm going here.
Yeah,
Let me through.
that's how
I'm
you
going. If you
expect
don't
it.
move, I'm just going to go
Exactly.
into
I'll
side
put my
here.
indicator on. That's what I need.
What was the main message then that came out of that? Do you think?
I want to say one more thing just before the main message. Is the ceramics. I can't believe how much they do. And you know, when I say under one roof, is when I got there and it was this whole other department that was all about ceramics. And ceramic, I didn't know if you know this, but it's clay. When it starts off with, it's soft, and then they have to bake it through ovens and everything. And then obviously, as you bake it, it changes its size, and then they have to go through molds and stuff. And they use diamond cutters to cut it. For me, I didn't quite fully understand how much in-house happens there. You know, you think, oh, it's brought in from there and whatever. But that whole process was mind-blowing. For me, it was to see, I think for me is how much they do under one roof, the hand scraping, the time that it takes, the precision that goes into it. And I'm not being too cheesy here. I can't sell for them, but no wonder they have that 10-year accuracy guarantee, that positional accuracy guarantee, because of the technology, the time. You add value and you understand and appreciate value when you go and see that process. And you know, when you sometimes think, oh, I don't know the prices, but you can go, you know, you put your price on that for all of the steps and the processes that go into it. Phenomenal.
Nice cap as well. Nice caps that you guys were wearing. I noticed that on
Yeah,
social
oh my
media.
gosh, I've got a picture.
Did you have to wear the caps?
Yeah, there's a hierarchy thing. So we got the Sodic caps, but there's a hierarchy. I think this is, again, we can learn so much. They have these caps in different colours. So when you're around the facility, the workers know who's there. So if it's someone really, really high up or not, or some, and the guys, it was so funny, they had blue ones and we kept on going, choo-choo, because they looked like train drivers in the cab. They did when you see the photos. Yeah, choo-choo. But I think that's brilliant. It's just and there's another thing, sorry, I will stop. There's the workers, when they're working, they have like a board, like a pie chart of, okay, when they're going to the toilet and different things and what their working day is, but what they're capable of and their training levels. So when they're walking around, if someone was off work, then they know who to go to because they know who's trained in certain areas. So there's a streamlining of, can I ask them? We've got emails, they can't help you. Whereas actually they've got all their levels out so they know where they can go. I think there's just so much intelligence. They know who to go for what, when.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Sufficiency. 100%.
It's great. It's great. It sounds fabulous. I mean, I spoke to Peter the other day. One of the things he told me is that Chris did an amazing job. He walked backwards and drank a pint of Guinness.
He did.
He was doing such a good job walking backwards, holding the camera, that Peter said, right, well, if you can do it holding the camera, you can do it with a pint of Guinness.
I've got it all on video.
And he didn't spill it.
Yeah,
he didn't spill it. And he split the G.
Yeah, he did. The amount of times
we carried on.
The thing is, and Joe Amos as well. Yeah. I mean, how old's Joe? 22?
Yeah.
Splitting the G, and then there's Joe, innocent Joe, like, down, gone, it's gone.
Sounds like you had a great time.
Yeah, we did actually. So, yeah. Enough about me. You DMG Murray, guys.
Yeah, tell us all about it.
We could potentially rival that. That was a good trip that we had to DMG Murray. That was one of the things.
We got a bit of swag while we were there.
I know, looking good. What's that all about, by the way? As in, with the clothing.
So DMG Murray have got their now lifestyle brand, which, to be fair, some of the stuff they've put out is really, really nice. Really nice. Like this jumper, it's just really thin. It's just really nice to throw on. But they've got like coats. Like you had a really nice Arsenal coat on, and they got like a DMG Murray version, which was and it's quite cheap as well.
Chloe, would you wear that?
100%.
Would I wear that?
Yeah.
Just saying.
I love that.
It's lovely, that.
Great
Sorry,
colour.
I'm keeping this one.
Yeah. I stole his MTD.
I've already lost one hoodie to somebody on this table, not nicking this one. So we were there, and obviously we had a great trip.
How was the event?
Do you know what it was? I was talking to so we had a bit of a chaperone, Michael. He was like with us all the Eric. Sorry, Eric. How do I got my Eric? And he was with us for the whole time, and he was absolutely brilliant. Like, when you needed to interview somebody, go and fetch him. He was really helpful, and he was saying that there was a different buzz about the event this year than ever before. There was a lot more positivity. He was saying that everybody who was there could have bought a machine. There was nobody there who just come because they got an event. He says everybody was there. It was positive. The vibe from every.
Oh, phone's up.
That's
it's come from my laptop.
That's uncut.
But yeah, just the vibe was completely different. He says everyone was there to look for new technology, how they could make their processes better. And then obviously the UK had took some UK guys over with them, which wasn't great because on one of the meals I had to sit between Paul and the other guy from DMG Murray. So a Liverpool fan sat between two Arsenal fans.
Yeah, but you would have been in a position of strength. So
well, I was, and I'm even more after the weekend. But anyway, we'll leave that. But it was just great because like some of the UK guys that came over, I've interviewed them before we'd even been there, and they were just blown away. The technology on show, and not just like the 5-axis millers, the new CTX. They were doing friction stir welding, which to me is still black magic. I still don't understand exactly how that works, but it does. And
I see what you mean when you say, though, that they have the right people through the door. Like, don't get me wrong, if the DMG event was in the UK and it was a free event and I had nothing to do, I'd go along and have a look, but I'm not what they want. I'm not the quality that they want. They want somebody who's going to invest and do all that. So to have the right people there at the event, it's brilliant.
They took 70 people from the UK this time, from the UK perspective, which compared to, I think, the year before was about double. And then next year, Steve's already booked the whole hotel, so he's going to double that again. Such is the impact of taking people to this event. And you'll see, in fact, today has just been released the tour that I did with Cornelius, where we went around all of the technologies that Tom was talking about. We looked at the new DMX 5-axis range, which 3+2 machine, which will be perfect if you're first time into 5-axis. A lot of their machines, there might have been 2 machines that were fed by one automation solution, which we saw last year, but again was very prevalent this time around.
I think one big thing on that though as well is it wasn't 2 of the same machine either.
Correct,
it was 2, so they had a DMU 60 and an 80, both getting loaded by the same cell.
Yeah.
Which is something you don't normally see.
They did that last year. That's what blew me away, actually.
And
yeah.
The MX strategy is still very much in place, and this is to do with processes, process integration, sustainability, economy, automation, and all of that sort of all of those elements, the 4 pillars, and it was all on show there again. When I did a tour with Cornelius, and it comes out if you watch it on our YouTube channel, I said to him, when do you start all this? When you look at this, when does it all start? It starts in August. So they start preparing for February's event
I can imagine that,
in August the year before. So you've got almost half a year in preparation to open the doors to people from around the world. Tom's point about the buzz around the event, I think there's always a good buzz around there, but this time there was there was a really good feel to it. You've got to remember that the back end of last year, the German machine tool German machine tool sales were massively down in the last quarter of last year, and in fact they were everywhere around the world. So it has been a fairly depressed market. So coming into this year, 2025, they're looking for optimism. The automotive industry is still on its knees, essentially. So they're looking at different markets, the renewables, the energy sector.
They've got to react to the markets that
they are, and they're doing that very well. And I think the biggest message that I would say was a lot of the process integration. So you'll now find their turning centres are very well equipped to do milling operations, very powerful, very, very heavy duty. Equally, their 5-axis milling solutions are capable of turning, they're capable of grinding. So they're almost, I was like saying to the guys, well, there's a crossover in a lot of the technologies. And of course there is, but to get the very right product for the right application, you need to have a lot of crossover on their technologies. So it was, a very, very interesting few days.
And it was really funny at one point because you were talking to one of the guys about one of the turning centres, and there was a milling head on it, and it was tiny, if you remember. It was a tiny head, but it had got so much power, it was unreal. And I remember you asking the guy, how do you get so much power in that? And he went, can't tell you.
Yeah.
Well,
I like that.
Well, that's the thing.
He just went, industry secret, can't tell you. And that was it. Conversation over.
This was the NTX multitasking machine, which is perfect for. It was machining an impeller, but it's really good for the medical sector for small devices. And the head on it, he had an iPad with him, and part of the interview was, the reason I've got this iPad is because this iPad is exactly the same size as this milling head. And of course, it's not just about the fact that it's compact and what they do engineering-wise to get it well. It's when you tip it through 90 degrees. 90 degrees, yeah. When you tip it through 90 degrees, either way, it means that you need less machine envelope, or you take up less of your machining travelling area because the head's obviously a lot smaller. So there was lots of features, and that particular machine you mentioned could be bar fed from both sides. So that I said to them, your NTX 500, you got a main spindle and a sub spindle. He says, no, we don't have main and sub. He says this is
Spindle
one, spindle two, and spindle two can do exactly the same as one, and vice versa. We can feed the bar through it. So very much into making machinery that is really, really capable of doing lots of things at once. And I mean, when you look at the latest version of the MTD magazine, which we should talk about. This is actually out in March. There's a really interesting report from the guys about the machine tool industry and the impact of last year's kind of difficult times, really, and how much the German market was down, as well as some of the other markets. But yeah, so to be going to Germany, to be invited again to Fronten, to see, it was great for Tom to go for his first
kid
time.
in a sweet shop, weren't you, Tom?
But it was things you don't see as well. Now, obviously, we travel quite a lot. We see lathes, we see 5-axis machines. But one of the things that got me was the ultrasonic machining, cutting glass. When do you ever see cutting glass?
But that's a niche, isn't it? There's always someone that's going to be doing something that you don't understand, but it's a little niche, and they're going to go, oh, well, I see DMG are doing it, so maybe they know what they're doing, and I'll talk to them.
And the thing is, that's it, the niche, but it was the process of how they were doing it. And I tried to get the information from the guy, and I still didn't really quite understand it after.
It vibrates and spins.
It doesn't. It oscillates.
It oscillates, sorry.
So it moves. Yeah. So as it's cutting, it's moving up and down.
Yeah.
But it's like how many thousands times per? And we were like, it was something like 70,000 times or something silly. It was something major.
I think it was 40,000, but you're right.
Oh yeah, that was it. 40,000 times, and we were like, oh, is that a minute? It's like, no, that's a second.
Yeah.
40,000 times a second.
Yeah.
Can
It's hard materials, but got you.
No. I just wanted to move on really because Chloe, we don't see you on camera that much.
No.
So, and a lot of people.
Time. No,
I know you don't, but a lot of people do ask after you, Chloe.
Yeah.
So
Which is nice.
No, a lot of people do genuinely, and I know you went to Southern, but can you tell people about your role, because it has changed, and I'm sure we'll all agree a lot of people do ask, oh, what's Chloe doing, I'm booking it through Chloe, but does she go on camera anymore? So just to tell people.
Yeah, so when I started, actually, last week, it was my 4 years anniversary at MTD. I can't believe that's gone in such a flash. But when we first started, obviously, I spoke to Paul. I was leaving my old employer, and it was like, right, what am I doing? And he was like, right, well, you're going to be UK and overseas journalist. And I was like, oh, my God, yeah. Went out, obviously I know the industry, I don't want to toot my own horn, but quite well as an applications engineer, as a engineering apprentice. So I was doing that. And then I went on maternity leave, come back, you joined, not that you're a problem or anything.
Fine.
Sorry, Tom joined.
You said the other day.
Tom joined, so obviously you come out with me quite a lot, didn't you? And Chris and Ian, and then you took off on your own, going out on your own kind of thing. And then I can't remember what happened. I was booking jobs in anyway, and something happened, and I think me, Paul, Colin and Joe had a meeting. And they were like, we want you to take this on. And I was like, absolutely, no problem. So a couple more days in the office, 1 day a week out. And I think that was about 18 months ago. And now, not that it's a bad thing, but I can't leave the office. We are so busy. We have so many amazing customers that want to do this, that and the other. I have your calendar, Tom's calendar, Rowan's calendar, the cameraman's calendar, Paul's calendar, to sort out, make sure, and sometimes we have to.
Do you need a drink?
Day. No, I'm fine.
Alcoholic drink.
Oh yeah, please.
No,
that's
tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. But I think now I can't remember. I think I oversee probably about 30 to 40 customers on a weekly basis, and me, Paul, Joe have a weekly update, and I update them. And Paul's like, "Oh, can you? This is the direction," and I love it because I'm quite a control freak in this sense where I'm probably quite annoying to the guys downstairs. I'm like, have you done this? And they're like, oh my God, look, you only asked me 20 minutes ago. But if it's not done in my head, I'll go to sleep about it and I'll wake up.
Yeah.
And I like to be quite anal about things. And I'm like to Paul, this is going on. He's like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. And it just carries on and on. But I speak to our customers. They give me customer names to go see. I book it. The guys film it, I send it for approval, I schedule it, and then we go from there. And we see the analytics, and then we go in for meetings.
Like the oracle overseeing it all.
I kind of try to be, but sometimes I love it. It's great because it keeps my mind ticking, you know what I mean? And seeing the content as well, it does keep me up to date with the engineering world and the new things that come out, your DMG, your Sodic trips. And because I'm watching all the videos and sending them off, I'm still in the loop.
I think you probably know more than most people in industry, to be fair.
And you've done an amazing job, Chloe, in this transition. But it's also really important that you do appear on camera as well.
Yeah,
which you do,
100%,
because I think it's good for you, but it's also good for our business. I mean, the thing is for us, the more personalities that we can have on camera, to me, that the better. And because everybody, you've got a brilliant way about you on camera. People like you, people watch you. So having that in the mix as well. So if you can work Saturdays and Sundays too.
Right. Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that quite quickly. But what I like to say is some people are quite nervous to go on camera, especially if it hasn't been explained to them beforehand. Oh, by the way, MTDCNC, a film crew, are coming in to film your facility. And I'm like, whoa. just take a step back. You're going to have a conversation. It's two engineers having a conversation. And I don't want it to be scripted. I don't want it to be this. Don't worry. We'll send the video to you before it goes live to make sure. That kind of puts an ease on it. And I always say, it's two engineers having a nerdy conversation about what you do, your machine, and people love it.
Chloe, you've hit the nail on the head. When I go out to places, I always say, look, just be yourself, and I don't want you, if something bad happens, and if there's something negative, there's a negative, but you've still got that machine there. So tell me, I love the fact that we create real stories
100%.
and we're on the ground. Our boots are firmly on the ground. I mean, we might
Steel
fly
toe
now
boots.
a little bit more before we get boots on the ground, but I was going to ask you, Paul, before we move on to some overseas trips that we've got, how do you feel about everything at the moment with not just the company, but the markets and everything? Quite big question.
Yeah, well, the market's tough. I mean, you got all this stuff going on over the other side of the pond with Trump, and we've all seen these kind of Jerry Springer productions that were happening recently. I think it was quite funny because last time we did this podcast, we were talking about how we were talking to Americans, which we do all the time, how they felt about him, how they felt about what was happening. I think a lot has changed since then, and I'm not saying their opinions may have changed, but I think
a lot's been said.
A lot's been said. There's a lot of sabre, jostling for position. All this tariff stuff isn't helping the markets. If anyone looks at their pensions at the moment, it's everything is really disrupted. Everything is really disrupted. Trump's talking about putting these tariffs on Canada and China and Mexico, which he's doing. They're his three biggest trading partners, and so one tries to work out whether there's any winners in this or whether it's just him kind of just doing it because he thinks he can do it. I mean, it's all to do with drugs and all the rest of it coming across from some of these borders. But, I mean, was a thing I heard over the weekend about China saying we're ready for a trade war or, in fact, any war. So that's almost their retaliatory kind of comments. And when you start hearing statements like this, you're sort of thinking, where is this all going to end? With the stuff that's happening in Ukraine and him stopping support for that. From a European perspective, of course, we've all now kind of agreed to invest more in our defence sector. And I was out the other week, a couple of UK machine tool suppliers, and they were saying, perhaps for our defence industry, it's going to be good. There's going to be more manufacturing being done, more machines bought. Can some of these European countries afford to up the investment from their GDP, into defence? Is it going to be difficult for Europe? It's a very, very volatile time at the moment. But I think the interesting thing for us is that we're travelling all different parts of the world, so we're hearing different conversations. I mean, we're going to the Czech Republic in a couple of weeks' time, and they're very interested in talking about how their economy is operating, and it's growing quickly over there, and how they can support other European partners. They're actually a bigger economy than Spain and Portugal and Italy.
Are they really?
Yeah, and you look at places like this, and you look at that and you go, okay, so what's the output going to be like? We're going there to see the guys at TGS, and they want to talk. They don't actually want to talk about the machines that they sell.
No,
they want to talk about what they do, how they support Czech manufacturing, but how they're also now available to a much wider field around Europe, providing economical solutions. I mean, the cost of their labour is probably half there than it is here. But there's so many things, but it's a pretty challenging time. All everyone's crying out for now really is a bit of stability. There's one thing for sure, Trump done it clearly deliberately, but he is causing a lot of disruption.
Yeah, I think that's a good word, disruption.
And whether his intentions are quite what he's making out at the moment, I don't know.
I just think any press to him is press, whether it's good press, bad press, don't care what he says. I don't care what he says. He doesn't care what he says. As long as he's in the press and he's being spoken about, he's the USA Lord Sugar, isn't he? That's what I think of him from The Apprentice. That's how he started. And I remember watching a documentary on him a couple of years ago, and he was like, I had a very small loan off my father of $1 million. And I'm like, a small loan, 20 quid off my dad's a small loan, It's just the two different worlds for me. Two different worlds.
And by him putting 100% tariffs on electric vehicles coming from China, totally disrupts the Chinese market. There was even talk, the 20% tariffs that are going on in China, they're talking about reducing the cost of their product by 20% so they can still supply it to the US. You know, it's 500 billion pounds worth of trade, which will now become 600 billion.
It's a catalyst of events, isn't it?
Yeah, and so inflation is likely to go up in the US, which means that's going to be difficult for the consumer and difficult for the economy. There's so many balls in the air. It's just, you know,
There's reason behind what he's doing.
It's a circus at the minute.
yeah, how it will affect the machine tool, people importing machine tools, exporting machine tools. It's, you know, the European one will be interesting. If he puts tariffs on Europe, does he put them on us? If he doesn't put them on us, does that mean we're in a really favourable position to trade with the US compared to the EU?
Oh, no, yeah.
You know, and vice versa. That, I mean, that's a, you know, so much. By the time we have the next one, it will be interesting to know. It will be interesting to see where we're at with it.
Well, I'm glad I asked you that
There you
question.
go.
Right. Thanks for trips abroad. I mean, we're doing a lot of travelling, so you know, go on, Tom. You're like our travelling guru at the moment.
I've got two coming up.
Go on.
Switzerland. Never been to Switzerland.
Beautiful.
The amount of times I've tried to jump on the back of one of your Swiss trips or hide in a suitcase, I haven't done it yet. I've got myself to DMG Mori.
Big old suitcase, that one, wouldn't it?
Oh, your suitcase is getting smaller.
Wow.
You've got a flat
Only
tyre
joking.
outside.
I was going to say.
Did you see the post I did on you the other day?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Take that
I
in
did
the-
wonder how many beverages were consumed before that. but-
absolutely
That's
not.
lovely.
No, that was a really, really nice post. And I think that, to be fair, I think that picture just sums up what we do, though.
Oh,
that
yeah.
picture just
End
sums
of
up-
the day.
Like, we'd done what? We'd flown in 2 full days of travelling. You would have been the same in Thailand. And we were absolutely nailed, but it was such a good trip. You couldn't help but smile.
No, yeah, it was, yeah.
Having a full bag of swag on your knee probably helps, but
And wearing it today.
I'm wearing it.
It
but
looks
no,
good.
yeah, it was a nice post, I think, for that.
Fast Thames. Is it Fast Thames with
No,
Switzerland?
so Switzerland is going with a barmier.
So,
And
yes.
it's not the conventional trip people will think when you think we're going to Switzerland. We're not actually going to a barmier. Obviously, people see us doing case studies day in, day out. So we're actually going to Switzerland to do some case studies.
I think it's, yeah.
And it's not just Switzerland. I think we've got 2 in Switzerland and then 1 in Germany at the same time. So we're going across to do all 3 in a week, which will be good fun.
We're going to be doing, the people on the channel will be seeing quite a lot of barmier stories this year. We've got those 3 with Tom. I think there's another one in Sweden. There's one in Belgium. But the one that you did at Cutting
Cutting and Wear.
and Wear,
beat me
So,
to
yeah,
it.
stay
You beat me
tuned
to
for
it.
this.
but, you know,
yeah.
travelling column machine, 5
The
you know,
ZVH,
ZVH, yeah.
ZVH.
1,100 star.
Yeah.
Were they
L100.
using the pendulum machining? So they got the
No, so this was a really weird. This company was amazing. We saw the ZVH, and it was a humongous machine. They'd actually just bought 2 of them.
Oh.
They just
What, the long bed ones?
Yeah.
Like the 4 metre ones?
yeah, they bought
My
2 of them. They were
gosh.
side by side, and it was part of a big deal. They just got through Dugard. They bought lathes, 5-axis mills. They bought so many machines, but these machines, they were making things for oil and gas. Now, Cutting and Wear is great because it was literally 25 minutes from my house, so that was quite a nice lay-in morning for me. But when I was a machinist, I actually used to do work for Cutting and Wear. They used to sub out to us, so it was really good
Full
when it turned
circle
up.
moment.
And he was saying now that 80% of their work is non-UK based.
Are they making like drilling?
Yeah, so they're making drilling for oil and gas, and some of these things were just unreal. Yeah. But because of how long a lot of them were, they were having to use steady rests, and they needed a machine. So they were doing a lot of 3-axis stuff before, but then obviously with the 5-axis head, it had just made. They took one of their programs. They took from 14 hours down to 1 hour and 12 minutes. Because of this machine, because they could do it all in one go.
go.
They didn't have to move
Set
it
up
from.
time,
You
tooling.
think if you've got something as long as this room and you've got to maneuver that round your shop, it's not a 2-minute take that out, put it in.
It's a pain.
And yeah, so they bought one, and then it was only a few months later they bought another one.
They're
So-
multitasking, aren't they? That's what they pride themselves on.
It's it's multi-process. Isn't
Multi-process.
It? Process,
Yeah, yeah.
multitasking. And that's really it's a very common theme through it everywhere we see, not just for the supplier of machinery, but also the even the cutting tool suppliers and the work holding suppliers and the automation.
It's not good
suppliers.
enough now just to be good at one thing. You
can't.
need to
You've got to
attack. That's the
enclose
only way you're going to get the
everything.
market.
You've got to
The
enclose
thing is, they
everything.
took that 5-axis machine as well, and you think, oh, you've got a 5-axis machine, you can do everything on it. And then they'd even modified it again and put a Nikon 4th-axis table on it. So they got the 4th-axis
my
table,
goodness.
plus all their head moving, and then also at the other end of the bed, they've still got the rotary
Swizzle,
table
yeah.
at the end of the bed. So on that machine, there was literally nothing they couldn't do. And again, it was one of them things where they got one. They were making parts that were probably done on 2, 3, 4 machines, in 4 different ops through 4 different operators, which obviously operators are trained. But that's 4 chances to get that wrong. Because every time you take that part of that machine, there's a chance someone's going to mess it up. They got rid of all that processing security, put it all on one machine, so it was done by one person.
Yeah.
So
What I
accuracy
used,
again.
What I used to find as an applications engineer, sorry, I might be going a bit left here, but there was an instance where I went to a customer to do some Heidenhain training. It was their first ever CNC machine, and they had 1 day's training, and I went in. I was like, what's your machine doing here? They had a machine and they bought another CNC machine from a competitor. And I said, "What's your machine doing here?" He said, "Oh, the sales guy didn't even look in the where we machine. They just said, "Oh, we'll put it in here," and it was literally blocking a door. So every time they had to go through that door, they had to lift the machine up and put it down. And I was just like, "What we need." I think, God, how many years? This was over 10 years ago now that I did this, and I was like, this was like site surveys, but why aren't the machine tool providers talking with the work holding providers as well as the tooling, coming together, doing case studies, time studies, and all things like that? And I think like now, automation's got involved as well. So everybody's starting to link up, and do the processes, whether it's cycle time, whether it's reduction time, whether it's lead time, anything like that, for the best.
That leads me on to something because, sorry, Tom, Hexagon are doing quite a few things, aren't they now? And they're doing a bit of a tour.
Just before we move on to Hexagon, because I've got that to talk about, I've just been to their event. One last thing on cutting and wear was, obviously that's got a 4-metre bed and they got this Nikon table put on it. And again, manufacturers talking to their partners.
Yeah.
They wanted the 4th-axis rotary, but they didn't want to put it on the table because they didn't want to take any of the table up.
Table space, yeah.
So it's like, well, what are you going to do with it? So between a Barmier, Dugard, and Nikon, they fabricated a whole new platform that bolted to the side of the bed. So the actual table is
outside of the area.
Outside of the area, because obviously that bit doesn't do anything. So that was outside the area.
Space
so
is money.
The front of the chuck on the 4th-axis rotary was on the limit of the axis, so they got full scope of the machine.
Yeah.
So again, on your point of manufacturers and partners talking to each other, they come with that full solution.
It's
That's really interesting, Tom. With the Hexagon, that's what they're doing, because I think you were talking about it yesterday. They're doing a bit of a road trip or something. Because I know that they're at the Sodic facility, but they've just done.
Yeah, but they did one at Nikon. Didn't they?
Nikon.
So I was there
as well.
Yeah. So I was there last week. So yeah, they've done one at Nikon. The next one I think is at Mills, isn't it? And the one after that is at Sodic.
Yeah.
So what they're doing, what the Nikon event was, is Hexagon were there with some of their partners. So obviously Nikon and Quick Grind, and they were showcasing how powerful their software is, but also all the software's under the EdgeCam umbrella. Because it isn't just one, and that's what they're trying to say. Is the problem is they think EdgeCam is just the software, but there isn't. There's so many softwares around EdgeCam to help you work. And I found out about one called Designer.
You were telling me about this.
Yeah, let's talk about that. And Designer, Hayley, if I get this wrong, I'm sorry, because she did explain it to me. But Designer is where you put your models in and then you can change them, alter them, cover holes. But you can do that before putting it in your CAM system. So you could be programming the CAD system while I'm changing the next model. So you can streamline it. Okay. Instead of you programming it and then me giving you another model.
And then me waiting for you.
Exactly.
Matt, yeah.
So, but they're bringing all their customers from that area. So obviously that one we're up north, which were brilliant because again, even better for me, Hexagon is 10 minutes, Nikon is 10 minutes from me, which was even better. so they've got all the northern customers there. So then as they move, they're going to get the demographic of customers coming. And it was a really good event. The buzz around the event was great because there were people there who, and it was great because they got all these talks going on. But it wasn't just a guy stood at the front telling you. He was asking questions.
Yeah.
He was pulling answers out of people.
Interacting.
So even people that knew the answer but didn't think they knew it. And there was one guy, and it was really funny because he said the answer, but he said it under his breath. And the guy heard him, went, no, say that again. And he's like, you were 100%. And this guy was just
Beaming.
Yeah.
Like a kid, like when you're at school, you were still...
They were, like Chloe said, it was very interactive. They were dragging the answers out of each other. So, like, people who had got the software but weren't using the full potential of it knew why they weren't using it. So then they went back and went, well, wait a minute. I do know what we're doing. Why aren't we using it? Instead of just a guy stood there going, you need to do this.
I think that's one thing to cover as well is the potential of your machine. I've been seeing, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again. I've been seeing people have pallet systems on their machine, whether it be integrated or not integrated, with maybe like a robot operating billet to the pallet changer and then it taking over. Joe from down the road could be doing 3-axis parts on his 5-axis machine, but then on the next pallet, he's got a tombstone full of 5-axis parts. And I think now you're not just buying a machine for a single project. People are looking into a broader mindset of looking into the future, especially, it doesn't have to be a subconnie. It can be somebody who's doing stuff for other things, but they're looking into the future instead of just buying a machine for the time, for the next 6 months. They're looking long term into, well, if I get this machine, then maybe it could open me up to other sections in the engineering industry. Maybe if you're doing intricate parts like medical or aerospace. I saw it a lot in, not in Italy, in Ireland, especially because they're medical and aerospace. And it's coming a lot into the UK now because they're looking a lot broader than just having a 3-axis machine, adding things onto it.
But the thing is, what does most machinists want to see at an event?
Material cutting, yeah.
And that's what they were doing. So they were showing you what, why, and when to use their software on. But then because they're at Nikon and they've got the nice array of machines.
What was the machines?
They got 2 machines set up. So they got a Fanuc Robo Drill.
Fast.
And then
spoonerism, that was.
Yeah, spoonerism.
A Phobo drill.
What they were trying to say is, why the Fanuc, the Robo Drill came into this so well is, edge cam can be used from 3-axis all the way up to 6, 7, 8-axis sliding head machines because they got the Robo Drill doing turning as well as milling. And then they got I don't know what but they got a massive DN Solutions machine.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure which model it is. And again, just showcasing how powerful their software is and what you can do with it.
But that's what you need to show. You need to show, I don't mean to be rude, Bob in his shed up to big corporate 2,000, 3,000 employee engineering companies and say we have the range for you. And is it add-on? So you add on different things to your. Yeah. Maybe Bob in his shed just needs one add-on, but the other company need 30 and 40 licenses, and they're able to cope with all of that.
And the thing is, seeing is believing.
100%.
I could tell you anything, and then it's up to you whether you believe me or you don't. Mm. But if I can show you what I'm telling you,
then
you don't have a choice. You've got to believe me because
give me the receipts. Give me the receipts.
So you might be a magician.
Well,
do you remember that magician at Mac?
Yes, he was really good.
And he went, "Is that your thing? Is that your card?" And I was like, "No." And he went, "Oh." And I was like, "No, it is my card. I just said like, oh yeah." It was really
it's a good thing.
What did he do?
Is he everywhere?
He asked me. Oh God. Oh no, that's right. He put a cross. He got a felt pen, and this was on the Starrag stand.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
He got a felt pen, and he put a cross in the middle of my palm, and he got me put my hands together like that. This is my right palm, and then he did some things, turned my hands upside down, and then he like basically patted my left hand, and then he said, "Right, open your left," and the cross was in there and not in there.
No way.
Honestly, unbelievable.
Talking of amazing things, and I've been smirking about this, Joe Amos, who's like, I just don't know why I'm saying this, but Joe Amos took a picture when, because they stayed on for a few days, and there's a picture of him because he likes James Bond, doesn't he? So they went to Phuket.
I've seen this picture.
And he had like a cool picture, and I just said, oh, and he sent it me, and there's like 2 half-naked blokes on the beach in the background, and so I replied to him and said, it's a great profile picture, Joe, but you need to remove the blokes in the background. Next thing you know, straight away, he used this cleanup thing on the iPhone.
Yeah.
You all know about this?
Yeah.
Well, I can imagine it's AI, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the new
It's
update.
actually quite scary.
Oh my
On the new
God.
update, it's really good.
Yeah. So he used this cleanup thing. The next thing he went, gone. And you can just click on the cleanup and you can remove what you don't want in the pictures. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this software at our fingertips is crazy. Anyone else I know?
It's so powerful.
You know the new update, and it sends your emails a bit doolally. Is anyone else saying that?
Solved that, didn't they? God,
Oh
that's a
my
nightmare.
gosh, getting the emails come through, and they're coming through in different. I was thinking that my emails are broken down, but it's all in your different folders now. I couldn't work it out. So
Talking about emails, I want to apologise to everybody on my contact list for sending an out of office email every 2 hours. My laptop is broken. It's in for repair. I've now switched to a Mac. I'm a Microsoft girly, but I have an iPhone and an iPad, so I'm literally in transition. That's the wrong word. I'm not in transition. I'm switching over. Sorry, I'm switching over. And there wasn't an automatic reply tab on there. In Microsoft, it's so easy, and you just plug it in. I had to create a rule. Anyway, Colin got a phone call off somebody saying, by the way, since 8 o'clock, this was now 2 o'clock in the afternoon, since 8 o'clock in the morning, I've been getting out of offices off Chloe Reeve for every 2 hours. It sent an out of office to my whole contact
How many
list.
people are on your contacts list?
Thousands.
Gosh, jeepers.
to be fair, I think I had that, you know, Chloe.
Yeah, and I was looking for him. I rang Joff. I said, have you sent an email from my email address? Sometimes that happens, doesn't it? No, I haven't done it. Well, why am I getting this? And I was like, I want to swear.
No swearing, no
I was
swearing.
like, no. So
It's
I had to-
uncut, but
I had to sign out and delete everything off the Apple situation, download Microsoft, add my automatic replies, and I just felt like a donkey, like an absolute
So
silly
apologies
lady.
to anybody that got
Yeah,
on
that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're on Apple, by the way, and you're getting all these emails through and you can't work it out, top right, 3 dots, click list view, and you're fine. Your emails will come back to normal as they once
You
were.
talking about the Far East? Have we seen?
I was just about to say Tim Toss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How amazing does it look? Very jealous.
6 days that show. Just looking at some of the stats that Rowan had done on some of his live.
He's very, very
lives
busy,
there.
haven't they?
Yeah, well,
Very
you've got
busy.
Rowan there. Tony's obviously there. So we had so many. You know, we've got so much activity coming out of there. There's 1,000 exhibitors, 6,100 booths there.
Eh?
Wow.
Yeah. So
4 floors, isn't it?
yeah.
What's really weird is though
They need to get some segues, don't they, and just zoom around.
Do you see Rowan's live? And I still don't understand how they've done it. Where you've got 4 floors, and then you've got like machine tool builders on floor
On
3.
floor.
Well, I said this.
How
I
does
said
this work?
this was the thing I said to Elliot
Must
before
have a
he
big
went.
lift.
And Elliot's obviously the cameraman that's doing all the great work that you're probably watching if you're seeing on YouTube. But I said to him, you go there and you go, yeah, and you get in a lift and you go up and you go, how on earth did they get all this kit up here?
Fleg projects.
That's really.
And you look and you just think, and not only has it got to get in there, you've got to get it all out as well. I mean, and how reinforced all the floors are.
Oh
Yeah.
my
It's
gosh.
like a multi-story car park, but it's 4 or 5 floors, and you just think,
How
it's
do
a
they get it
tremendous
up?
show.
Well, I tell you what, that'd be a good idea to do a case study
Yeah.
on the building of Tim Toss.
There's got to be a massive industrial lift.
Yeah.
Hasn't there? It's
Or
got to. It's
I've seen it before. I've actually seen this in the UK where there was I went and did some training in Cardiff, and I went upstairs, and the machines were all upstairs, and all the coolant went downstairs, and that's where they flushed it out and whatever. And I was like, "How did you get that up here?" And they said, "Well, they had a big industrial. They had a forklift that lifted the machine. Then they had a massive industrial forklift that lifted that forklift up. Luckily, it was all balanced and the health and safety regs were there. And I was looking at it like, what? And then people were telling me that's normal. And I'm like, in my head, it's not.
But if you think
how do they do
if
it?
space is so precious, they need to utilise height.
100%. And space is money.
And it's
Space is money.
the volume of machinery that's at that show. So you're not just talking about, a guy that needs to install a machine once every couple of years. You're talking about, hundreds of machines. And
how often is Tim Toss? Is it every year?
Every other year.
Every other year.
Yeah.
By the time they get stuff out, you may as well put it
start
back
back
in.
in. Just leave it.
Just put it.
Leave it in.
They had the one of the features I saw that Rowan had done is he was talking to a company, ironically Amos CNC, and they had just launched a sliding head lathe 2 years ago. They started their business 2 years ago, and they now have a sliding head lathe for sale, which was at the exhibition. But the story behind that is that in Taiwan and in Taichung, which is just, I think it's up north and where the guys are now, there was, I think someone said there was about 2,000 companies dedicated to machine tool building. And that's all aspects of machine tools, everything from the linear rollers, the all the things you talk about with the castings, the PCBs, the spindle, every aspect of machine tool builds happens within that area or that territory, which means if you want to develop a machine tool, you've not got to go to Germany, to Italy, to France, or to wherever to buy parts. You can just probably drive up this road and go, well, I'll get my ball screws from there, I'll get this from there, that from there. And they built this sliding head lathe with it, designed it, and now it's for sale within 2 years.
The thing is, if you want to catch up with these people, they're already 10, 20, 30 years ahead, so you've got, it's kind of like the Sodic thing, is if someone wanted to do and replicate what they've got there, with the investment in all of the equipment that goes into this, they're already years and years and years ahead. So then all they need, they've got big R&D departments that are just working on progress. Exactly like we've just said, multitasking, going on to the next level, taking everything next level. And
even with Taiwan, when you've got so many people, so many companies, of course, what does that introduce? It introduces competition. Yeah. So it drives prices down. But there's a potential, does it drive quality down? These are all arguments that people would say. It certainly means that the supply's there to be able to create product. But Rowan's been there, and Rowan's done about 4 live streams every day on different floors, I think there were, and just watching some of the things on show. That's what I love about what we do is it's all parts of the globe, but it all feeds back to one, because a lot of our UK customers and users of MTDCNC are importing machines from Taiwan to sell here, so everybody wins.
The world's got smaller.
Yeah,
I love how I don't know, but I was messaging the guys as well, knew what people were eating out there. Obviously, Tony had a funny tummy. Yeah. And then I've got pictures seeing Rowan eating all sorts. Like, when I was in Thailand, I was seeing loads of bugs being cooked and eaten. And we were told strictly no street food, guys. You've got to have a strong tummy. There's Rowan. He's like, I'll just try this. And
Rowan's strange. No, that's wrong.
Stop
Rowan,
it.
I tell you what, Rowan is one of the most intelligent people I have ever met.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh,
it's wild.
He does some strange things. Tell me about it. I remember when I first met him, I was up at my old employer. I was 19 and he was 17, I think. And I'd gone up there and we had a meal out. We'd gone out with Nickon because we were doing something. I was showcasing the Chiron machine from ETG, and he was with Nickon. And we went out to this tapas bar, and he was like, "Is anybody going to come salsa with me?" And I thought he's drunk. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And he's still doing it.
No.
And I was talking to Eddie. I said, "How many salsa lessons has he gone to?" He goes, "I don't know. He'll have to tell you when he gets back." So he's just.
Oh, he's funny.
I tell you what, he's a lovely person as well, but he's just crazy.
Well, just one on that. We went to Scotland for a job. There was me, Chris, and Rowan, and we'd done the film job, and then we were staying the night and coming back the next day because we were so far up.
Yeah.
So me and Chris went to do crazy golf because there was nothing else to do.
What did Rowan do?
Well, Rowan came to crazy golf with us.
Yeah.
In his salsa
and then we walked back to the hotel. This was about 11 o'clock, and we were halfway back and turned around. Rowan's gone. It's like, didn't say anything. Rang him. Where are you? oh, I've just looked on my app and found a salsa class.
He did
Starts
the same.
at 1 a.m.
He did the same with us when we were out with Ward High Tech, and we had and we were all going to bed, and we were like, "Where are you off?" And he went, "I'm just going to go salsa."
Yeah. He says, I found a class on my app at 1.
Are you sure it's salsa,
Like a
Rowan?
salsa app.
Are you sure? Are you sure it's salsa that he's going to do?
I hope so.
He's so
Paul's
funny.
shaking his head.
We got another trip to. We might be going to the China show, which I think is the CMS or anyway, CIMT.
Yes.
At the end of April. Be fascinated to watch what comes back from that. You know, is there going to be a lot of the brands we saw in Taiwan that Rowan and Tony were looking at, and the factory tours that they're doing are brands that are being supplied and supported here in the UK and Europe. You know, how's that going to look in China? It's just fascinating to see.
That's a really exciting trip. That.
Yeah. So yes. Taiwan was.
And then I've got another one. I've got one, but I can't tell you anything about it, which seems really strange. So I'm going to Sweden with Fast M's to see their MMS and AGC. But it's a world first, so I can't even tell you anything about it.
No.
Because nobody knows. But it's the one, it's in Sandviken in Sweden. It's at Sandvik Cormont at their facility.
I've been asked about this on LinkedIn. Am I going?
Yeah.
But you are.
There's
I'll
15
reply.
partners.
Ask Tom.
Yeah.
Well, they're expecting over 1,000 visitors on that day.
Busy then.
Wow. Yeah.
Tell me, Sandvik Ton is that?
Cormont.
No. You call the place.
place.
Oh, Sandviken.
So is that where
Sandvik Cormont is
was
in Sandviken.
Is that where it originated?
I don't know, but that's just what I've been told. So the MMS is the manufacturing.
Sandviken in Sweden. Yeah, he's asked me about it. Someone.
So the MMS is the manufacturing management software, and it's a marketing. I've got literally one line on each thing, which is it's a marketing leading software, and it's to schedule anything and everything in and around your machine for days, if not weeks in advance. So that could be
Some big statement, that.
yeah. So I'm working, and then the AMC is the Agile Manufacturing Cell, and it's a world first automation cell. Can't tell you anything about it, so watch this space. The one thing I got from the website, so it's live, so I'm not getting into trouble here, is it's a robot-based manufacturing cell that brings the benefits of flexible manufacturing for direct machine tending.
There you go.
That is literally all I have on it.
Put it in a video. And
That is all I have in it. So watch this space.
Yeah, great.
I've done a couple of case studies recently, and a good one that I did was at BTEC. And we did one for, we're so lovely, Danny at Lang, and we did the
Yeah,
robo
Danny
checks.
Brooks,
Yeah,
legend.
it's one of my first jobs that I've done for Lang.
We prepped for it as well quite heavily, didn't we?
Yeah,
Didn't you?
yeah.
Sorry.
But it's kind of cool because it's an automation cell, but it's using the vice as a pallet. And
Yeah.
I've not
Yeah.
seen
Yeah.
that before. And this company, so Mark, proper funny, and his dad, very, very funny. We did have a laugh at the end of the day. But he's got DMG Morris, and then he uses Lang already. So then
Was it a 0 point? So it just goes on to...
Yes.
Yeah, sorry.
But it's basically what's really, really good is the fact that they've got vices already that are Lang. So then it was the easiest transition to go into having this Robotrex automation cell. And you can see the angles and the way they've set it all up is just so precise. And the scope of the size of the component, it's quite big, the size of the components that you can use. And it basically picks up what we would technically call a pallet, but it's actually a vice and then loads it onto the table.
So you only
and
get
he's
one
ready.
part per time on the table, are you?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the
Yeah.
RoboTrex system, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
and you
real-
can have up to like 8. Actually, I think you can have more because you can have more
Yeah, you
trolleys
can-
on there.
Yeah,
you can
you
So
can
it's a
change
real
the
that
great
trolleys.
system because it's with other pallet loading systems, you have to program each pallet every time. But with the RoboTrex system, once you've programmed it once, you never program it again.
Yep.
Because the grippers pick the vice, not the part.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
it's
doesn't
not-
matter what you have in that vice, whether you're on full scale or a tiny part, because it's picking that vice up. And it's essentially a plug and play system.
Yeah.
It doesn't need no hydraulics or anything like that. And it's just run off sub-programming
I
the
think-
machine.
You can literally have different components, just one after the next. He goes, I just put it in, run, I'm done. And he was
What's
crazy.
good about this is somebody out there is looking for something like that, and how do they get into that space? Who are the people to talk to? And like Danny's great because he just did a video. Actually, there was a customer that him and Tom went to, and they did it in 3 sections. And I went to Tom, I went, oh my God, he's amazing.
He
On
knows.
camera, he knows what he's talking about. He's not just a sales guy, he's an applications guy. He does it day in, day
We
out. He
pushed
knows what
him
he's
on
talking
camera.
about. And I was like, he was like, I'm sick of my own voice, Chloe. And I was like, I don't care. I'm splitting it into 3 videos and it's going live. And he was like, all right, if you say so.
Can we please stop saying how good he is? I'm
gonna
expecting
lose
a
your
phone
job.
call at the moment.
No,
His
but-
head will be massive.
Because I was watching it, and like, don't get me wrong, I watch the videos day in, day out, and a lot of the times it is a lot of the same stuff. We're machining this, we're machining that. But the way he spoke, he thought of, I think of questions in my head. Well, he hasn't answered that, has he? Because that's just how I think. And what if this occurred? And he answered everything, and I was
Boom.
like, I sat there, I was like, I haven't got anything to say. For once, I didn't have anything to say.
Well, this is what's brilliant, because obviously we put a post out about that.
Yeah.
And Mike Harris, who we all know and we all love, and his jokes are just brilliant. And he actually called Danny the godfather of work holding.
Yeah.
And I can guarantee when you did that video with Danny, I bet he did it first time.
He did, and then we pushed him. We were like, "Oh, we need you to do this," and we need,
Because
but we
he-
only can push people if we know that you know
They're-
that
yeah.
You know, next
they're
time
there.
if you interview him, push him as much as you like.
Yeah, we did, but he did. He came up top trumps. He did.
He does. He's really happy in calling himself the one take wonder, because he can always do it in one go.
Yeah.
He's brilliant.
Watch him now.
Trip him up next time. Yeah.
Yeah, next time ask him about the weather or something, or
Yeah,
Trump.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
add
Yeah,
something
he-
in
yeah,
there.
I
Or
think
just
he'll
put a
fly.
football question in. Who does he support? Let's not talk about football.
MTA dinner.
Yeah, that was a
yeah.
good night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It always is good. It's every 2 years.
So I've forgiven you.
Yeah, in London.
Oh
a
yeah,
couple of
you were
weeks
in
ago.
London. You didn't
No,
get asked.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Forgiven you.
listen, we drop some clangers sometimes, and that was one. Unfortunately,
Clangers.
Carl couldn't join us because he was poorly, so we had a spare seat, and we for some reason we just didn't think Tom, and he was filming in London, and we're like, oh, Tom, you should have
no,
come,
yeah.
because James was like, if you've got someone else that's here and around, they could come, but yeah, it's at the Dorchester in Park
Very
Lane.
nice.
Do you own a
and-
suit, Tom?
I do. He did ask me that.
You don't need
yeah.
to turn up in a suit, though. Oh,
So-
No, I didn't turn up in a blue jumper. We'll keep that out of it.
There's hundreds of people there. Food's great. Really good networking opportunity. Lots of faces that you don't get to see very often in the industry. So we had a good time. It was a good evening. And we spent some time with James Fudge as well from the MTA next day, talking about Mac 2026, which really, when you look at it,
literally round the
it's
corner.
going to be a year away. I mean, can you believe it was a year since the last Mac? So that's just a year away. So it's always a good fun night to have out, and I think the attendance this time was better than previous years. So yeah, no, it's good fun.
Do you like wearing a suit?
Do you know what? That my suit had only this.
Oh no!
I said to
Had
James
you got
Fudge
food down it
next
from
day,
the last year?
right, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks
we go.
ago, I thought, oh no, it's the MTA. It's the MTA dinner. Right, let's get me my tux out. So I get it out and I look, and I said to my wife, "Oh, look at the state of this." So there was like a Guinness stain down it.
I
from
wasn't
the,
even
on the
joking.
shirt.
I think when
I
he
know
takes
you
it off, he
are
just
too
puts
well.
it back. I hopes for the best.
Yeah,
So-
it was all scrunched up. So on the Sunday before the Thursday, I thought it's all right, because in the old days, you used to be able to go down the dry cleaners and get it done in a day.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
It's that easy.
5 days.
Yeah, I didn't know
You
this.
kidding me?
No, I'm just going to take a black coat, like a trench coat, because I want to wear it to Cheltenham. I've got an Alsatian at home, and I've got it in a zipper bag. But I was saying
What,
to
the
Tom,
Alsatian or the...
Yeah,
sorry.
take the coat in a zipper bag. And everywhere I go, he's just there. His name's Bronson. He's just like, his hair was on the mic earlier, and I'm like, how? But I went to take it down to my local Morrison's, because they've got like a Tim
Yeah,
Scissors.
same thing.
She goes, oh, it'll be 6 days. I went to clean a coat, and I was quite rude. And I was like, to clean a coat, and she looked like she leant back, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I don't do this normally, but yeah.
Yeah, so
Right, I
You
can
don't
get some
expect
I
6
can buy a new
days.
coat.
yeah.
No, it's not the same, but you know.
So it was a Sunday. So I went down. This was Waitrose, not Morrison. I went in there.
Oh.
That's quite local.
That's why I
He's
live in Cardiff.
he is the CEO.
And I went in there and I was like, "Yeah, can I have, mate? Can I have this back? Yeah, wait, yeah, be back. Yeah, Saturday. No, I need it. I need to pick
event.
it up
Thursday,
Wednesday,
yeah.
so I'm going Thursday. Oh no, you won't get that done in 3
And they laugh at you,
I'm
don't they?
like,
Expect
"You're
you to
joking."
know.
So anyway, so then I go home, like my tail between my legs, and go, what am I going to do here? So I managed to wash the shirt, got the shirt sorted, but like your coat, mine was covered. I'd got a white Persian cat, sadly not with us any longer. But anyway, the last time the jacket was out, he
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
Got all his hair and fur down it. So there I am trying to brush this
With a
all
lint
out.
roller.
I'd been at Mills CNC the day before or 2 days before, and Tina, one of the ladies there, we're doing some automation solutions and some videos on that. We got talking about the MTA dinner, and they were going, and I'd said this story to Tina. I said, I don't know what I'm going to do in my suit. You'll have to watch out for me. Anyway, I saw her there. She goes, "Oh, it looks all right." And of course, the lights were quite dark and all the rest of it.
Thank
We walk
God.
outside, but no, it was good fun. And I've got to say, the suit or my tux is still back in the bag, and it's not been opened since.
Take
the day
it to
I
the
left.
dry cleaners.
And it probably won't come out
I
for
think-
2 years.
No, don't do it.
No, Paul, take it now.
That's what I mean. Get
Yeah,
prepared.
because next year we all know and have heard this story. Everyone will be like, what? I'm going to bring a UV light.
You go and
Yeah, and-
tell Carl down in this, won't you, if he's watching?
I know
you
it's
tell.
not the same, but it's kind of the same. I see people when they put up their Christmas decorations and take them down, they wrap like a £20 note or £40 in. So when they take it out the next year, they can get themselves Chinese or an Indian when they put the Christmas
that
decks
right?
up.
Really?
And then they wrap it around a prosecco, they wrap the lights around a prosecco bottle. So when you put it up the loft, when you bring it back down the
Oh, I
next
like
year,
that.
you've got to go. Because I like it
So
as well.
that's
is
cool
that,
idea.
is that and your
That's my
Christmas thing,
annual
your-
monthly Chinese, but it's Christmas special. I don't have a Chinese every month. I said this to Rob, my partner, the other day. Well, when was it? It was a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Paul's asked if I'm having a Chinese." So what is? I think it might just be a coffee.
You
or
told me one time
Chinese.
that you love Chinese.
I love a Chinese,
You
but
love
I'm a very
Chinese.
British Chinese order. So like sweet and sour,
Chicken
balls,
balls.
chips, prawn toast.
That is really.
chicken chow mein,
Yeah.
isn't it?
What
Like
about
if
beef
I
with,
went to
beef with black bean sauce?
no, that's too. I don't want to say foreign to me, but I am like.
too
lady
Chinese
should,
for me.
The lady should slap me around the face when I go and order
Oh,
it. You know what I mean?
sorry.
There's just
Do you know about prawn crackers? You like prawn crackers?
Derby does.
Yeah.
My daughter, yeah.
I find.
But I see, you know, where people fill the prawn cracker,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
everything, and it's like,
yeah,
I
yeah.
ate curry for morning nearly every breakfast in Thailand.
did you?
I think I'm just weird or
Hot,
something.
hot curry.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
mind
proper-
anything, and
yeah.
noodles and all sorts. Like,
I did see the food you put. And
yeah, yeah, I love it. I love just trying and embracing it. We don't do it at home. I have cereal. I've come back this week and I'm like,
A bit
I
shreddies.
like curry, and I've got Rice Krispies.
Chinese to me is so like heavy. It's so heavy.
It's so
really
heavy.
So
Sometimes
you-
I feel really bad afterwards.
Yeah.
Like I need a nap.
Have you ever seen is it Big John on TikTok? You know the big
Oh,
TikTok.
Bosh.
We're back again.
Oh,
we
gosh.
couldn't get through one without TikTok, could we? We
Actually,
couldn't get through it.
Start.
I thought we would nearly
Ash
done it.
Morley from Star
Ash
got me
from
onto
Star.
that. Yeah, and he was like, he said something to Steve.
Does
He
it all
was
the
like,
time?
Bosh on the end of an
Bosh.
email. I was like, what is he on about?
Yeah.
Well, I
It was
saw it.
autocorrect.
No.
Was it the Brit Awards that was on the other night? Brit Awards. I know
Yeah, that
you
was
just-
recently.
He got on there, so he's very famous.
Oh,
Who, Ash
because-
Morley or the bloke?
No, but honestly,
Ash.
the endorsements that he gets.
Gosh, and,
is-
and you've seen the amount of Chinese he
I
gets
just-
delivered.
yeah.
It's just. It's
and he
just,
reels off his menu,
Yeah, and he
doesn't
goes,
he?
yes,
Send me
chicken
some for
balls,
breakfast,
prawn
I'll have
balls,
it.
this, that, and the other. But yeah, so that's I don't know how we got onto the,
Oh, no,
onto the
sorry.
Chinese. But yeah, no, the suit I will go and get it cleaned before the next time around.
I
I'm
think-
sure it.
Put 20 quid in your pocket for a Chinese.
Yeah.
What about you do
Or a
it?
clean, a little bit
Something in
earlier.
there from the pocket from like 2 years ago, and it was like a business card or whatever. And you go, gosh, there was that 2 years ago. It's incredible how time
No,
goes.
time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
On that note, I think we need to round this one off, if
100%.
that's all
Can
right,
I just
team.
mention
Oh,
one thing?
Tom.
Sorry. It was.
I'm joking.
I've done a case study recently, and it was something that blew my mind, to be brutally honest. Now, what do you
Better be
think,
worth it.
What do you
come on.
think of when you think of 3D printing?
As in brand or
It's
material?
just 3D printing. Just genuine.
Moving components on.
All right, we'll take it to the TikTokers. What do you see a lot on TikTok? All the little
I
fidgets
saw,
and
yeah,
So
I
like
s-
building houses and things.
yeah.
and I saw one of they built Shrek, and it was a toothpaste holder, and it went through his bum. Come out.
Yeah.
I'll have to show you. I'll put a clip of it.
But that's
it's
it.
Weird
So,
things. Weird
3D
things.
printing at the moment, everyone thinks it's for like little knickknacks, little fidgets.
Yeah.
So kids with ADHD, that sort of thing.
Slinky.
Slinkies, people who are making stuff like that. Well, I went to a company, not last week, the week before, with Matt Sora, called 3D Print UK. Now, this guy
Really
was
interesting.
He was amazing, but he was a full thread in a shed. He started with one tiny machine in a shed in his garden making knickknacks.
HPs.
I don't know what it was when he was back. He's
the
got
HP
HPs now.
machine.
Yeah. The multi-jet. Yeah, he's got them now. And so he was making like little things, and then companies were asking him to make like odd ones, 2s, 3s, and he just thought, "What am I doing? Why can't we manufacture a lot more using 3D printing than we're doing now?" So a lot of stuff that's made out of aluminium could be 3D printed, and he has just grown into this. I would say he's probably one of the top 3D printing companies in the UK.
It's so special, so special.
Anything and everything. But so they were making like motor covers.
Anything in your world
like
dreams, engine cover.
Engine covers. The thing like
for motorbikes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I did some research. And it was really interesting.
But it was like, so he bought 1 HP from Matt. So he's just bought 3 in one go.
And that's a big
I
investment.
just think they're in that industry is in that it's in its infancy, and if you can get into it and start experimenting with different materials, I think you are not going to go wrong. It's all the bespoke work. I went to a company that have a HP, and they looked after children with cranial issues, and they can make these helmets totally bespoke to each child. And just think how many or how long that must have had as a waiting list for small children. Their heads are growing quickly, they're making them.
I have lifetime experience of that. My daughter it's a condition called plagioclefeli, if I remember it correctly, or pronounce it correctly. It's when you're born. My daughter was born with
Forceps.
Oh, okay.
And what happens sometimes is your cranium is crushed or some
distorted.
distortion. And hers was like that, and it was quite bad. And we had the head scanned. And in those days, we went privately because of all the weight on the NHS and stuff.
See?
And they had to, it was made in a completely different way. They basically took a scan of her head and then they manually chiseled out the insides of this helmet, put the helmet on, and then as her head grew, it grows into the helmet, so it grows in shape. But you'd have to go back every 6 weeks down to London to have it re-chiseled back on her head. This went on, she had it for about 18 months on her head. She used to wear this thing on her head. And we even had situations, I mean, this is how funny people are. You'd walk down the street and some lady, "Oh, your poor daughter, what's she got on her head?" You know, when
My
you
dream
live in
is
this-
People do it.
you know,
People with birthmarks, children with people.
But when I saw that at Matsura a couple of years ago, I was like, nowadays that would have been such a simple thing. They'd have gone, right, scan, reverse engineer or whatever, print, blah, blah, blah. There it is,
Oh my
put on the
gosh,
head.
yeah.
It's like Invisalign, not the same, but like Invisalign, you know how they can see and project the next brace, the next brace. They're doing that with those. Like, it's incredible. So fair
And
play.
I guess it would be cheaper now
it
than it would have been then because now you're just pressing a button on a printer and supplying someone
And
with a
even if
helmet.
it's wrong, tell me I'm wrong. Can you melt down that 3D print and reprint it? Or
yes
you can
and
sell
no.
it on,
Yes and no. Yes
you know,
and no. Yeah.
But you can regurgitate things, you know, and it is trying to know.
But it was
Fantastic.
eye opening from what he was, where he started to where he is now, and it was like he was so customer focused compared to like a lot of companies. He was so customer focused where if somebody came in and said, "I want you to print this," and he'll go, "All right, it'll be £10," and they'll go, "Oh, okay," and they'll say, "Right, well, can you see this part?" "No, I can't see it. It's in Samsung." "All right, well, we'll make it, but the finish won't be as good, but it'll be £5."
Yeah.
He was so like he knew exactly what every single part was, what it was doing, where it was going, what the finish needed to be like, what the tolerances needed to be like. He knew every single thing about every single customer's project, and then he could make it suit him. And then I hope I get this right. The video will come out, and if I'm wrong, the video will prove me right. But there's something, and you might know the word for this, Paul. I can't remember. But it's sort of like that upfront cost. I'm trying to think what it was. Sort of like when you...
Not a deposit.
No, like when you machine something, you've got an upfront cost of like your billet, your programming time, that sort of thing. Well, you don't have that with 3D printing.
No.
Because like you said, it's literally just in and out. Well, he was designing his business around that to bring that into 3D printing because he could drive his costs down using it.
Yeah.
So everything he was doing was just the parts he made. You'll see them on the video. The parts he made were incredible. They looked really good. You wouldn't even tell they were 3D printed, some of them.
No, you can't.
That was it. He'd got his prices down now to nearly injection molding prices without the upfront cost of the tooling.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what I was trying to get to. Yeah.
Would
It
you
was
like
worth
to go
it,
to
Tom.
the HP factory?
I would love to.
Well, unfortunately, you can't because Lindsay's
I
going.
am, sorry.
Oh, fine. Wait a minute. How many corners do I need to back you in before I get on this trip? Hey,
Absolutely
wait a minute.
not.
I've got to one place.
Paul knows I like warm weather, Tom, so I'm like, Barcelona.
No, you can go.
I'm seeing all these and I'm like sat.
That's fine. I'll go back to Sweden.
Sorry, Chloe. You've
No,
just
it's
said at
right.
the beginning you love your job, so.
Yeah, sorry.
Crap, yeah. Sorry, wrong word. No, I tell you what, it's great. I don't mean to be a brown nose, but when I first joined, when you first started the company, there wasn't many, was it? And now look at us now. I'm a pain in the bum on our system. Like, I telling the guys, and they're all like, but we have to have a system now.
Yeah, we do.
Put everything in place, and we call it the sausage machine. where
You call
goes
it the
in.
sausage machine.
Lots of poor people. But where it comes in, it comes out the other end, and if everybody doesn't work together, it doesn't work that way. I book the jobs, you guys go film it, you guys put the footage on there, the videos on there, you then have it all works very
Are you happy, Chloe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
We must
No,
also say this is the latest edition of the
yes.
MTD magazine at the moment. And going through this, I was looking and in fact reading this over the weekend. There's some fascinating insights in here to apprentices, also to the aerospace sector, some of the developments that are happening in the aerospace sector. Are we able to keep up with the demand from the sector, which is very interesting considering we talk about currently how tough market conditions are. Reese and Carl, and along with Will Sterling and the other contributors to this magazine, make it a really fantastic read. So
It's the
I know
only
this
magazine
isn't,
that has digital at the
it
backbone.
is, and it's the biggest thing for me about the magazine. We developed the MTD magazine back in, I think it was about 2018, and knowing that we'd got all of this digital content that we talk about here that we create. You know, the need for the paper product was always there, has always been there, and this has grown phenomenally in the last few years. And you're right, the QR codes on the stories, you can read the story. If you can't read, Tom can scan it.
Didn't read it.
And sorry, how many is that today?
Wait a minute. You've still
That's
got
another tyre.
Wait a minute. So there's
The suitcase.
There's 15 points between us.
Yeah.
You've given me 3, so you've still got another 12 to go.
Is this football?
There's nothing about football in here, but it is a really good opportunity. We get a lot of new interested parties that are continuously asking for a copy of it, and if you don't get
100%.
the MTD magazine, then you can go onto our website and actually put in for a copy. But some really good stories. You can even listen to it as well. We have a guy that comes in here that actually audio books the stories, so you can go in and you can get download them off the audio book. So really good opportunity, really good read, and even on the front there's that picture.
It's Lang.
It's Lang. Yeah.
But what's
So
great about the magazine is obviously we do quite a few case studies, events. Carl and Reese will write them up in the mag. So if you've read the mag and then gone, actually, I want a bit more information,
You can go.
The QR code's there. You scan the QR code straight to the video.
Yeah.
It's so simple and easy to get from the magazine to the correct story on the website. And I might be wrong, but I think that's the only magazine that does it.
Pretty much, yeah. And I
Yeah.
mean, the unique content as well. What that allows you to do is create unique content. So
100%,
that's where I think when you look across a lot of the trade press, you'll see common stories, and you'll see common opinions on certain things that are happening in the industry, but you won't always see, like ours, unique content, and that's it's a really big factor. So yeah, proud to have this.
And it's great because we see that at nearly every machine
Yeah,
shop
it's
we
kinda
go to.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that plug there, Paul.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Chloe.
I don't like to
No
make this a
problem.
sale, and
Thank
it's not really, but it's just
Yeah.
important because
No, it
it comes
is.
out
It's the
bi-monthly.
backbone.
People they're always ringing up,
Anything
emailing
else,
us for a
Paul?
copy.
Go on.
So, I just want to make sure people are aware that it's not only this digital.
It's on the back page.
It's
No,
the
spot the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love them.
Yeah, me
Sorry,
too.
child.
Oh, the first time I ever got... Sorry, that brings me to a point. The first time...
Tom, we're closing up like
No,
10 minutes to go.
I'm sorry, but this includes you and Paul.
Yeah.
The only time I ever got interviewed by you
Yeah.
before I worked for MTD.
Yeah.
I've got a picture from back then Paul's got a bit more hair, and we're doing the spot the difference.
Yes, we were.
And we actually found them all.
Yeah, of
There you
course.
go. Sorry. All right, I'm not talking
It's
about
another
Good
point.
puzzler queen. Right, everyone, thanks for listening to MTDCNC Uncut. We love doing it, and we'll be talking to you next month of all about our upcoming events, but they'll be in the past then, so we'll have some more stories for you. Thank you.
Safe travels.
Thank you, guys.